everyone, and welcome to Wowhead Weekly number 249. We had a small break from the show, no show last week, but we're back full force going through all the different things that has happened between now and last show. The most interesting thing perhaps, and which we will talk more about, we can hear a cat in the background, is that Shadowlands was meant to launch today. That is quite a big deal, and we will talk about that more once we get into the show, but just wanted to mention that since it's pretty crazy to think considering where the game is at the moment. But yeah, before we get into any other topics or that topic, let me introduce myself. I'm Annie, or also known as Annie Fuchsia, and I'm a full-time streamer on Twitch. My co-host is Wowhead Director and lovely bean Perculia.
Hey everyone, thank you for that lovely intro. I'm Perk. I run Wowhead. Really exciting time with all of the Shadowlands updates. Thank you for all your support. This is the first show we've had since the pre-patch went live, and hype than the BFA pre-patch with all the class guides and the dressing room customizations and the leveling guides. Sometimes I am joined by Brightpaw, who you heard in the intro, but he's currently under the chair. And speaking of chairs, I have a fun Warcraft chair to show off on the show. And we will also be discussing some interesting news that came up. A lot of interesting merch, like the Sprite Daughter costume, a unpainted Thrall statue, and some anniversaries of what would have been, because Blizzcon was meant to be this past weekend and Shadowlands was meant to be today, as Annie said. So, on that note, should I show off my new chair that I am sitting on?
Mm-hmm. I'll keep you on full screen. You can go for it.
Cool. So, let's see how this will work. We highlighted that there was Secret Lab and World of Warcraft have partnered up to do Alliance and Horde chairs. And they have these in two sizes, and I have the smaller size, obviously, because I'm 4'11". And I assembled this myself. It took a few hours, but it got done. And you can see it comes with a special foam pillow, headrest, and I will just turn the chair around so you can see all the embroidery. We've got this lovely Brightpaw Alliance lion here. We keep turning it around. We've got gold on the sides. And as you can see that there is an official Blizzard tab here. And as we keep turning it, the back is also decorated with the Alliance seal. And can we move this back, or is it too heavy? As we keep moving it back, you can see that it has interesting tabard embroidery down below. This also comes with, it can recline. The rests can also recline, and you can adjust the chair down below. They also have versions for the Horde, as well as versions of this chair for taller people that are like 5'9", as opposed to, 4'11". I've tried it out for a few days. I have some pictures on my Twitter of Brightpaw sitting on it. It's not really meant for pets, so I've been trying to shoo him off. But yeah, the stitching is pretty nice on this. You have a lot of gold threads. You have a lot of interlocking designs on the sides. It's a really comfy chair. So you might want to put an order in now, because these take a while to ship. And thanks to Secret Lab for sending this over. And if you go to the show notes and you go to the Secret Lab article, we have a special Wowhead affiliate link where if you purchase through Wowhead, a small proceed goes back towards the site and helps us with site development. So yeah, this is my Alliance throne for Brightpaw. And I will now sit back down in the chair.
Nice. Speaking of things that we're showing off in the background, I'd like to quickly show something that Blizzard sent me and some other people too, other content creators. So let me quickly change this back here. Oh, it plays the introduction.
Yes, they sent you a Wowhead Weekly.
Yeah, hello guys and welcome. No. So Blizzard sent me these that I put on the wall. It is a canvas of Shadowlands and the 4 Covenants. And yeah, I'm very happy with how they look and how they perfectly fit in that narrow area of my wall. So yeah, just wanted to randomly show that and appreciate it. So yeah,
that's really cool. I feel like EU does interesting art things for every expansion. Like I know leading up to BFA, you guys had the Warbringers posters, which were also really pretty that NA didn't get. So I'm jealous you
NA
have
didn't
these.
get this either?
No.
Oh, I'm always unaware. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So I feel like EU gets all the artsy things like the postcards and the canvas hangs and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and
yeah, I guess that's
I get the manly chair. So,
yeah, you got a big chair.
Yeah.
So you can represent the alliance at least. Yeah, no, that's interesting. I feel like a lot of times when I mention something, it's like, oh yeah, I guess that's what you guys in EU are getting. I was like, oh, like you guys in NA are not? That's interesting. That reminds me again of how the office in I don't know how to say the name of the city, but the one in France, how it was shut down. Versailles, yes, or how it's gonna be shut down. I don't know the exact details of it. I kind of hope that it will somehow survive things, because I do believe it's important to have a good, big hub, especially a hub that's existed for a long time as a central point for Blizzard in Europe. But yeah, sometimes things happen which is out of our reach, but it would be nice if we could keep more EU stations as well, since even though EU might be small, they're pretty good to us a lot of times.
I mean, EU is pretty massive for Blizzard, just looking at Wowhead's traffic breakdown. The high point of our days. Yeah.
But the office is tiny, right, compared to Blizzard and NA.
Yeah, I've never actually been there, but I mean, I thought it was a big deal because they had that really cool Kerrigan statue out in front. So to me, I thought it was like the centerpiece of Europe. I could be wrong, but
okay.
It felt like a big deal to me. I know people talked about, visiting it and other things. Last I heard there's meant to be negotiations with the various labor unions and Blizzard, and last I heard that got pushed back a week, so I should check up on that again because it might be around that time, because they had a list of demands.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So I hope they can keep it as well.
Yeah, I hope so. I really hope so.
Yeah.
I just realized that I have my Illidan canvas here, which used to be there, and it was facing the wall, so I decided to face it outwards so you can see it. And also shout out to Alina Marina in the chat, who just resubbed for 3 months in a row supporting Wowhead.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I would turn my camera around and show my Blizzard art wall, except we had an earthquake a few weeks ago, and my Jaina, the biggest piece of art, fell off the wall, and I still need to secure her. She's not damaged, but the frame and she's in the frame is in a few pieces, so I need to sort that out. But yeah, I'm a big fan of Blizzard art, and I always want more of it, even though I don't have any more space except I guess the ceiling. So
yeah, I'm just getting started, fixing my room. I always was very fond of your room because you have a lot of things. Obviously the right behind you with all the plushies and stuff. It's part of what inspired me to get all these shelves and stuff. Because you had that before I did. And then the things on your walls as well. I have an empty wall here that I still have to fill. So I'm excited for that. Slowly but surely, I'll decide on the perfect things to fit there.
Aww.
But yeah, maybe it's time to jump into some news topics. As
other things you may want for your walls or shelves.
Oh, actually true. That's a really nice and smooth transition. We have a statue of Thrall now being available on the Blizz store. Here, I've got some pictures to show you guys of them as well. There we go.
As you're looking at the pictures, you might be like, okay, it's Thrall. And then you're like, what happens to his, his paint? And this is interesting because you can purchase the version with color for $600. And then there is an unpainted version called the limited edition statue, and that version without any color is $750. And I feel like to the average user, they might be thinking, why is the plain version more money? But my guess is that there's a lot of people that like painting figurines, and being able to do it yourself and customize Thrall in the colors you want is a big deal.
Yeah,
but I know
I'm
to
one
the
of
average
those people.
yeah, I'm like, I'm not one of those people. Like, I don't want to do the work. Like, what if I mess up?
Yeah, I mean,
You know?
not just that.
Like, I'm with paint.
From like just the top of my head, if I'm looking at a piece of art where all the color has been put in, then I'm assuming that a lot of time and thought has been put into this. And if I see one which is just white or unpainted, then in my mind it tells me, well, that time is now saved because we didn't have to go through all the little details with all the little colors. So for me, it's kind of mind blowing that it's more expensive. The only thing that I could think of that makes it somewhat make sense is that it's more rare. But
yeah,
I don't know. Like, could that be the only reason?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously a very different price point, but with Funko Pops, there's the version that looks cool and it's sold everywhere, and then there's, a variant that's a different color that's maybe sold at one store and it's more expensive, or, like there's a ghost version of something that's just see-through and that version is more expensive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I can think maybe it's...
limited edition run of 500 statues.
Oh, they added a number. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
That was not there when we wrote the article.
Yeah, because I was going to say I didn't know how many numbers there were of them. So there's 500 of them. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. Do you think there's any other reason than rarity? Like, do you think there is a reason to make it more expensive because it's more sought after to be colorless?
I mean, like I said, with some collectibles, there has been a thing where the ghost version or the monochromatic one color version.
Does ghost version mean unpainted? Like no color?
Yeah, or okay. It's like ghost meaning like just white, sort of spectral.
Yeah, okay.
I have seen, I guess it's an aesthetic thing as well. Like it looks like, oh, this artist is just like, doing this mold in clay and it's in the studio. And I guess some people like that aesthetic.
But it's like $150 extra.
I know. I guess you just want to say, well, I have the limited edition one, and other people do not have the limited one. Or I know Chris Metzen is always talking about painting figurines for, his various tabletop games, and maybe you want Thrall as the ultimate figurine. So you're going to paint him, and he's going to have, red and pink armor instead of green and black.
And it's the exact same look, right? It's the same...
Yeah.
Okay, so there's no other
My guess
details
is
that
differ. I wonder if they're going to do this for more statues in the future. Like
a whole
Illidan
set.
or Jaina.
I wonder how sturdy they are, because I just read a comment in the chat having a child break him, because these are really expensive statues. The cheaper one, the colored one, is still, what is it, $600?
Yeah, he is 38 pounds.
The statue?
So, like, the statue weighs 38 pounds, which, what's the, 1 second.
Oh yeah, that's like almost 20 kilos.
Pounds to kilograms. Let's see what Google says.
That's almost half my weight.
Yeah, it's nearly 20 kilos. So
yeah.
It's, it's the size of weight of a small child.
Okay. It's funny because I just randomly remembered when I go to different events, such as DreamHack, and there's a lot of children around, and whenever we have to try and find somebody who's my height, which is something that you could probably relate to, Perk, since you're not very tall yourself, the people that I'm almost similar height with is always a small child, around the age of 10. So, yeah. That's funny. But yeah, that's actually a lot heavier than I expected, so I guess a part of the price kind of explains that part.
This is just me randomly thinking, but when with, some Instagram aesthetics. It's all the white, minimalist room with like the green plants and like a few color popping accents. Yep, I almost wonder if they're trying to do statues in different monochromatic colors. So, to keep up with trends, like maybe a super colorful statue wouldn't fit into someone's like living room, like a Warcraft fan that now has a family, but the tasteful off-white version could, fit into their living room.
I'm gonna quickly put myself on full screen as I quickly change the server because it feels like we're lagging. So I'm gonna change it to US East. Should be good, I think. So let's see if this works better. It's not awful lagging, but it's noticeable.
Okay, we're back.
Yes, we should be back now. So let me switch it back. There we go.
Another thing I wanted to say about this statue is Thrall's got a lot of different armor vibes going on. Like he's got some elements of his Warcraft 3 armor. He's got Doomhammer from his time as, vanilla WoW war chief. He's got his BFA axe and his BFA leather strap chest and his BFA beard jewelry. So he's got a lot of different things going on with this armor. And people wonder if it was easier just to take all of his iconic things and throw them on one statue, or if this is a hint that Thrall could be War Chief again or an updated Shadowlands model. My take, because there was this leaked Chinese video of the statue, which that Blizzard used to promote it, and it was interspersed with, the statue in slow-mo with clips of the BFA cinematics that featured Thrall. So everyone's like, is this, is this meant to be the BFA version? But why is he holding Doomhammer? Does he hold Doomhammer later on in Shadowlands? Is this a spoiler? Was this always his classic WoW look, but they didn't have the, art tech to make him look as epic as they do now because he's got, the shoulder pads and the War Chief belt on. So a lot of people are wondering if this is just artistic license or Shadowlands spoilers.
Interesting. I love how you will always give that perspective of things, because for me, I'll be like, nah, they just put together the most iconic things, because it looks the best. Hello? Like, of course, that's what it is. But then you give us a really good perspective of, there could actually be thoughts behind it, which could implicate what will happen in Shadowlands. And that makes it extra interesting to think about.
Yeah, I am leaning more towards what you said, though, because I don't think vanilla WoW pixelated Thrall would have made a very cool looking statue. So I see why they wanted to take the elements of his armor and make them more high res, but use his custom BFA chest instead of, the level 10 War Chief breastplate he had on that looked horrible in, vanilla WoW.
And make a $600 statue with 3 pixel shields.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think he looks pretty cool. I'm not sure if I'll get one because my statue wall is pretty full, but I think that he has a very dynamic pose. I think that his face is a little sad, but it's not as different as Jaina was compared to her in-game appearance.
Yeah.
But I know people will always be like, "Oh, he looks different." Oh, maybe that's why. You can buy the expensive statue and you can paint Thrall's face yourself and see if you do better.
True. Okay, that's why it's more expensive. Because it's going to be an improved statue with your art skills. Of course. That makes sense. That makes 100% sense. Honestly, I'm pretty happy with how it looks like. Now that you mentioned Jaina especially as well, I actually don't really have any negatives about it. I think I like it. The facial expression feels serious too, so it's
I mean, everyone's like, oh, he has a big mouth, and as well, have you seen Thrall's expressions in cinematics? This is how he looks. He's not a human.
No, I think it's good. The only thing I don't like is the price. That's it.
Yeah,
it looks great.
And again, if you use the links on the Wowhead post, we get a small cut of the profits
Always
as
support
well.
Wowhead at the same time.
Because so you buy a $750 statue, we actually get a large amount of that because it's so expensive.
Oh, that's actually true. Even like one purchase means a lot then.
Yeah.
That's true.
So
yeah. So if you want to support Wowhead, which is, you know, obviously free to use for everyone, then you can, as you make those big purchases, you can decide to support Wowhead at the same time.
Yeah. I also have to wonder, with this upcoming merch we're discussing, as well as Thrall, if this was merchandise intended for BlizzCon and they're releasing it now, and if this was BlizzCon merch, normally the statue they sell gets a big version at BlizzCon. So was there meant to be a big Thrall?
Oh yeah,
it was a
probably.
big Jada.
Oh, that's true. I wonder if they.
Maybe
I think we knew too early that it wasn't going to happen, right? Or how long do you think they need to have? Basically, my question is, do you think they made it anyways?
I think they did because, I mean, they always have a production schedule of, like, you know, Arthas came out when they announced the Shadowlands expansion, and Thrall would have been coming out around BlizzCon or Shadowlands, and like he is obviously in the expansion, and I think they want, and it's Q4, which is when people buy a lot of Christmas merchandise, so now is the time where people would splurge on, say, you know, a $600 statue, as opposed to earlier in the year where they're like, oh, I'll buy the, you know, $40 Sylvanas figurine.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, since we kind of knew that it's not happening, or like most likely not happening since April, that might have been enough time to cancel a big statue like that.
Well,
not
but
sure,
I think
though.
they'd want that anyway for when conventions come back, like 2021. They could.
True. No, that's true. Gonna be interesting to see if we have a big Thrall then next BlizzCon.
Yeah.
But yeah,
that's funny if it's next to the Garrosh one. Like you could have a battle with Thrall and Garrosh fighting each other like warlords.
The other merch that we have seen are also Shadowlands related, which is why it's speculated that this stuff was probably meant to come out around the expansion launch / BlizzCon, since both of them were meant to be around now. And so this is the pin which was found, and then there's also a calendar right here. And then we also have 2 desk mats here.
I'm really hoping the desk mats, they're going to roll out a series, because Bastion looks cool, but I'm like, where's my Ardenweald mat? You know, like, I want a mat for all the covenants.
That's true. I wouldn't be surprised if they do come with the other covenants too. I feel like there's been a lot of emphasis on them, including the canvases that I have behind me. I think that there will be probably a set of 3 more, because even BFA had multiple of them, right? I remember having
there were 4
2 versions
like,
of the
do you
tree.
want Teldrassil on fire or not on fire?
Yeah,
like,
2 versions of Teldrassil.
Yeah.
And then there was the human versus orc, or was it Anduin?
I think it was them fighting Kiart, and then the orc and the human like yelling.
Yeah, orc and human. Okay.
Yeah,
that's what it was. But yeah, it's this was probably meant to be out there for around this time for the people who are at BlizzCon to purchase when over there, and just for the general hype around the time of the expansion. Which kind of brings us to our next topic of highlighting. Shadowlands was, as mentioned briefly at the beginning of the show, was meant to be out today. Today is October 26th, and that was the official date that it was supposed to go live, which is interesting to think about, and kind of mind-blowing, since we are delaying it, or kind of moving it forward quite a bit. We don't even have the invasion live on pre-patch right now, so yeah. How do you feel about that, Perk?
So yeah, the expansion is not ready. Also, BlizzCon was meant to be this past Friday, and I cannot imagine BlizzCon leading into Shadowlands with the state of the expansion and the WoW team having to prepare like a patch 9.1 presentation, or like their sneak peek of what's coming next, when they were still trying to balance things. Like I just cannot picture that happening. And
Yeah.
also for the people traveling, like you would be flying to BlizzCon, but then you would have to fly back right after to prepare for the hype of the.
Yeah.
You wouldn't even have time.
It would be really awkward, actually.
Yeah.
It would be really awkward.
Like BlizzCon and would end Saturday, and then like 48 hours later, expansion launch. Not even 48 hours.
Yeah. And then you have to consider like jet lag and all that. Although maybe it's not so bad because for us in EU, so because if I'm traveling from NA and I come home, then suddenly my time zone is completely messed up. But maybe that's not a big deal because it would actually be launching at midnight for us in Europe, or around midnight for Europe. So maybe in a way that messed up sleeping pattern would help me.
Right.
Be
would
awake
even
for
make it
it.
home in time though, because if BlizzCon ends Saturday night, you would be flying out on Sunday. And
I mean, if really early, but usually I would take another day, so I would normally fly back on the Monday.
Yeah, and it takes a long time.
Yeah, it does.
Fly.
Yeah, I mean, it would be at least 15-hour travel time, probably.
So I have to wonder, before we discuss if the expansion is ready, did Blizzard plan BlizzCon to be right before Shadowlands? Because they did it. They did that with WoD, where they used the convention to hype up the expansion, like starting the celebration early, or did they plan on having Shadowlands be later, and then when BlizzCon got canceled, they're like, oh, we got to move this up to have something big in October?
Interesting. That would explain the random really early date, because we were concerned about the date being too soon, even back then.
Yeah, I think that's what they did. I think that when BlizzCon wasn't there, they thought, okay, well, we don't have the distractions of working the convention, because everyone does double duty. Like, you have developers up there doing the upcoming patch content, they're doing their Q&As, they're doing their panels. A lot of employees will actually, work the demo booths. Like you're planning two things at the same time, and maybe they figured that without all this BlizzCon prep, they could focus solely on the expansion and get it out in October. But that's not the case, because you need to crunch numbers and do all these things regardless of there being BlizzCon and get player feedback.
Yeah, that's a really interesting theory, because one of the main reasons why we were wondering why the expansion is so early, for those of you guys who may feel like, what do you mean? It wasn't early at all. It was just on time. Blizzard announced the expansion to come in quarter 4. Well, at first they just said 2020, right? And then they said quarter 4. And usually when a company says something happens in a certain quarter, it normally tends to be towards the end of it. They make it sound exciting because quarter 4 is so soon. Like October is so soon, like quarter 4 is starting. But in reality, normally the thing happens in like November or December. So the fact that they said quarter 4 and then announced a date in October was very surprising for a lot of people. And I think this idea of potentially having moved it like to be sooner due to BlizzCon being cancelled is actually a very likely reason, actually. And I think they could have announced the date of the expansion, of course, the specific one, to be soon after the BlizzCon, but not that soon, not 3 days later, kind of soon. So,
yeah, can you imagine all the customer service and QA people that are going from answering BlizzCon concerns to Shadowlands concerns, or, Blizzard trying to throw something themselves with the virtual ticket panels, and then going from making sure that runs smoothly to the Shadowlands launch being smoothly. It seems like a lot for 1 week.
It really is. No, you're absolutely right. And like you said, having random issues too, like maybe the virtual tickets aren't working, and are they going to deal with all the people having BlizzCon issues while the new expansion is being live? Like there's so much going on. So.
I bought the BlizzCon virtual ticket and my mount isn't showing up with my Shadowlands account. Please fix.
Yeah, and then meanwhile, like the servers are down and they have to work full time fixing that, and no, it would be way too much in such short amount of days.
Yeah. So where do we think the expansion development is. Like, when do we still don't have a release date.
Mm-hmm.
We've been seeing Blizzard do lots of changes, pretty big changes. Like, it seems they're just trying out a bunch of theories. Like, they totally flipped soulbind trees
Yeah.
around to put the bottom powerful ability at the top, and did a lot of tuning.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you think, when do you think it's coming out? Because if we don't have a date yet, and we know that the pre-patch invasions will still take 2 weeks, I don't really think it's going to be in November. I think it has to. I'm still going for that December release date with January raid.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. I was thinking about this yesterday as well. I think if Blizzard were intending to release the expansion around the third week of November, so in the 20s, I think we would by now at least had a word on the invasion or the expansion.
And that's Thanksgiving week, which that's like,
oh, that's
it's like
true
weird.
too.
I don't know if that's a Swedish thing, but in America, it's like,
Yeah, I forgot about that.
I don't know if it's gonna be the same with COVID, but like Thanksgiving is when Americans like will fly across the country to see their family for 1 day and watch football and then fly back.
Yeah, no, you're right. Wait, what date was that again?
That is, I believe that's the third week.
Okay.
And
is it like one of the weekdays then, or is it the weekend?
Thursday, November 26th.
Thursday. Okay, so in that case, they would have never planned the release to be on that date. What they could have done, I guess, is 19th, which is way too soon. With no invasion being announced, there is no way it's going to be on the 19th.
Yeah.
So yeah, my guess would be push that forward, and 3rd of December feels kind of pointless if they're gonna have to extend the raids into January. So I think it's going to be on the week of 10th of December, so on the 8th.
Yeah.
7th.
I also feel that for investors, they always tend to do raids in January as a way to like spread things out and get you to be hooked in the new year, in spite of your New Year's resolutions to like spend more money or exercise more.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if they were planning October release and then they'd have some sort of interesting update by January. But if Shadowlands is delayed, then I don't see the point in cramming the launch and the raid into the same month-long period, especially with the holidays. Like I just see that being a lot of really bad PR where it's like, I had to do this on Christmas. I had to get my renown and unlock my soulbind, or I was raiding Mythic this, and oh, why are numbers down? Because people, like, there are some holidays where people just don't spend as much time online playing. Like, there are some holidays where people will just like zone out and play all day, but there are other holidays where you have family obligations or travel or, you know, FaceTiming where you can't focus on the game as much. And I feel like Thanksgiving and Christmas are that in the United States.
Pre-patch was 13th, right?
Yeah, that was 13th.
Okay, so we're running into almost 2 weeks now of pre-patch with no word on the invasion. I would guess we're gonna have 3 weeks of this. My guess would be that we have invasion next week and then have at least 3 weeks of that. Or what do you think? Do you think that's too soon? When do you think the invasion is?
I mean, they keep changing. Like, I mean, the build that flipped the soulbind trees around was last week. And they keep changing things. Another thing that I don't know is like they've got all this WoW Classic Max Rammus testing going on, and that makes me wonder, are they gonna try to fit that in as like a November thing? Because Naxxramas is sort of similar to the invasions. It's the same like subject material. You know, we will have the undead. Yeah, so we will have invasions in Shadowlands pre-patch and then the old school invasions in Classic WoW. I almost wonder if they'll try to tie them together.
But was there speculations on when Nax is? Because wasn't it quite a lot later, like February?
Well, we thought that, but they've tested every 4 wings on the PTR so far.
Okay.
And people are like, "Whoa, that's really soon." Like, you know, that's so now people are wondering if that's going to be earlier. than expected. So
Yeah, maybe
I
switch
can't.
them around, like push a bit of classic while retail is still waiting.
Yeah, so like maybe November would be, mid-November. Hey, the Shadowlands pre-patch invasions are starting. Look at these undead running around capital cities. Oh, look, end of November, WoW Classic Phase 6. We are also having zombie invasions, go do this for a few weeks. The inspiration for the Shadowlands pre-patch.
Mm-hmm.
Because, Nax has a lot of characters returning in Shadowlands, like
yeah, it's
Zud.
definitely relevant. Mm-hmm.
So I could see that being a way to like build up hype,
Yeah.
or get people doing something or watching something on Twitch.
I have a question. Once the invasion starts for Nax, does the instance become immediately available?
That is a good question.
Because I don't know how it was.
I think there was attunement for Nax.
And is that time gated or?
Let me.
I've noticed there's been quite a few people in the chat who think that invasion is tomorrow. Is there any chance invasion will happen without an announcement beforehand?
I mean, it could, but
yeah,
I feel like
I guess it's not game breaking, so it could.
A lot of people are really curious when the invasion is coming, so I think it's weird of Blizzard not to announce it.
To hype it up.
A lot of people were super disappointed that that the invasions weren't at the start of the pre-patch. So if I were Blizzard, I would give people a little bit of notice so they would plan on like logging in tomorrow or leveling up their alts so they could take advantage of the gear. I would be very surprised if they just dropped it without warning, because like so many people are checking out Wowhead's invasion guide, even though we don't post anything on it, but people are just like, I heard there was the invasion. Yeah. Where is the invasion? And yeah. Also, there is an attunement for Nax, and you need to be honored with Argent Dawn and bring some materials to an NPC like Nexus crystals. So it's not as elaborate as AQ, and I'm sure a lot of top guilds will have been, stockpiling these materials.
Yeah, and we have the reputation, or we have access to the reputation already.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I feel like we're gonna have Invasion, Shadowlands pre-patch, and then like Classic WoW, and then Shadowlands mid-December.
So you think the launch could go even further than the 7th to like the 14th?
I would say this. I think the 7th could. Well, hold on. What's the Tuesday in December?
Oh, it might be 8th. I don't know. 7th or 8th, I think, is the Tuesday.
Yeah, I could see the 8th. Because if you launch it the week of the 15th, that means that the second reset is the 23rd, and weird stuff might happen, and you don't want people on their holiday break dealing with customer support tickets to that huge extent. So I could see them doing the 7th, and maybe doing the raids right when people get back in January.
Yeah, this still means that we could potentially be looking at another month of pre-patch, and with the current state of pre-patch, there was nothing new really. Obviously, we did have the level squish, and we also have some old abilities come back and some abilities gone as well. But there's nothing really new to do except Exile's Reach if you want to level a new character. So I think opening up pre-patch will motivate some more people to play than right now, at least, for people who may want to gear alts to get them ready for the new expansion, because it'll be a quick way to sort of get leveled ready. I'm thinking of doing the same for my NA characters, for example. I never played my NA account much this expansion. I believe I have like 2 pieces of epics or something. But I was thinking of jumping into the invasion to just, get a little bit of starting gear for the Shadowlands leveling. And I can imagine that there's a lot of people thinking like that. And for me, I have no reason to log my NA account right now because there's nothing really new for me to do.
Yeah, a lot of people were waiting for the invasions to get easy gear, and since they're not here, we've been fielding a lot of questions like,
Mm-hmm.
well, how do I gear without this, without the stuff,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not ready to do a 5 chest horrific visions, but what are some ways I can work my way up so I can, see some raids?
Yeah.
Uh and I think a lot of people are holding off doing more at max level because of that. What
Mm-hmm.
we have seen on Wowhead, which is interesting, we've seen more hype surrounding leveling. Like a lot of people are
Mm-hmm.
wanting to, maybe run an alt through Legion to unlock artifact transmogs or warlords for like garrison collectibles. Focusing on one expansion to get old stuff from it. So we've been seeing more hype to like not end game things, more old school
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
So I mean that's cool in a way, but I feel like that interest is going to die out as people get stuff, and letting
Mm-hmm.
people experience the end game
Mm-hmm.
is definitely good.
Yeah, I think people are currently enjoying, the gear that they have sort of farmed and put together across the, latest patch. Whether you had one character or multiple, people are kind of sticking to those characters, checking out how it feels to play by doing old content. For example, I know I have done that too. So Perk read my mind just by looking at the data on Wowhead. I went back and did some old raids for transmogs. I also went back to get some tints on my druid because I had the mage tower unlocked on it, the artifact weapon skin for mage tower, but I never went back and did the tints in the past because I always played a resto druid, so I felt like I want the possibility to be there, but since I don't play Feral, I don't feel like unlocking the other colors yet. But now that druids can be in their artifact skins in whatever spec they are, I went back and I did the 10 Legion dungeons that you have to do and killed Jaden on the heroic, so that I unlocked 2 more colors for my druid. So I'm sure a lot of people are doing exactly that because this is the time to do it. And then in terms of gearing and characters that might be finished leveling, I think that will be more active once the invasion is here.
Yeah.
And also, speaking of collect, I'm actually wearing an All the Things shirt right now, which is an add-on that I tend to use to keep track of things. Although my camera is mirrored, so it looks signet et la, something like that. Yeah, I need to. I am still missing the RBG wins one on my druid, which I'm planning to do a bit later. I don't feel like playing much PvP in the off season, so I'll do that in the next.
This is like a weird end game season.
Yeah.
Without corruption, and you're sort of in between things.
Yeah, and it also feels like it might be awkward with queues and everything too. Probably not that many people playing, so I'll just play on my druid once the expansion hits instead.
Yeah. So speaking of leveling, a former developer from WoW's past has been sharing a lot of interesting thoughts on Twitter.
Yeah,
and
an icon.
This is notable because it is Greg Street, aka Ghostcrawler, who was the former lead systems designer for World of Warcraft, and is sort of widely seen as someone that had a very unique communication style. He was one of the developers that was most active with players on the forums and Twitter back in the day, and just sounded like very down to earth and explained things.
Did that, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So he sort of like revolutionized how people can communicate with the developers and back and forth. So also as the lead systems designer, he oversaw a lot of things. A lot of people assumed he just did class stuff, but we've also learned since then he worked on other parts of the game, like setting up the transmog system, which sounds very far from theory crafting. So now he is very high ranking at Riot, and he's come back to the game after a pretty long break. And he was just sharing a lot of thoughts, which is cool because he helped shape a lot of early WoW, and now he's seeing what has remained, what has changed, what are things that maybe he wanted to happen back in the day that didn't go through then, but finally made its way in, 10 years later. So we've had a lot of fun, recapping his tweets like we were back in 2013.
Yeah. There's quite a few tweets. If you click on the articles or the links in the article itself, you can read through many of them that have been highlighted. I picked a few to put on the screen here. You can see how he starts with I haven't played WoW in about 6 years, coming back today. And a lot of his inputs were quite interesting, how he was confused at the profession change, and then was later explained how it works, and then said, well, that's actually pretty good, keeping professions as like divided up into different expansions, so you can just skip an expansion if you're not interested in the profession from that time. He was also commenting on character upgrades, the actual character graphics, and he was in general not so fussed about it, but on one of his characters he wasn't happy because it didn't feel like the same personality, which I'm sure...
Which was interesting, because he wasn't even referring to Shadowlands, he was referring to the Warlords revamp, which, it made things more modern, but on humans, for example, it removed a lot of skin tone options. So with the goblins in BFA, we were even commenting that in 825, it took a lot of their personalities away, how they all had the same face. So it's interesting how if you haven't played for a few expansions, that sticks out more than, oh well, my character can have buns and braids now. So I thought that was interesting.
That's interesting indeed. Instead of sort of positively looking at the more options that we have now, you kind of first notice how you've lost personality in your character.
Yeah, so maybe that's a good customization option for the future, having different emotions that your characters can show.
Yeah, I think adding things like little wrinkles, for example, can say a lot about, or at least give a interesting impression of a personality. Like, do you have more smiling wrinkles, or do you have more between eyebrows wrinkles? I think a lot of those things are sometimes used to describe how personalities are.
Something that I also thought was interesting was he was playing through Mist of Pandaria, and he had some thoughts on the branding of the expansion. He was saying that in retrospect, he wished that the marketing branded Pandaria as a sort of cool Asian-inspired continent versus, like Panda, because there were a lot of parts of Mist that you didn't really get from the branding, like the whole, Shah and like negative emotions and the Alliance and Horde and the Garrosh development and kind of the dark message that, we went to this continent that was working really well, and we sort of totally messed it up and destroyed it with all of our, trying to be a hero. We blew up this sacred part, and it's this, I don't know, I feel like there was a lot of people just sort of meme it as pandas, but there were a lot of parts of the expansion that you lose out on if you just focus on the pandas.
And that's also when he mentioned how Mogu were added pretty late.
Which is funny because everyone is now like, when are we getting the Mogu allied race? Because they came back in BFA. And everyone, he's like, oh, we got tired of having, there's only so many like panda villains you can have, or bug villains, so we added the Mogu to the mix. And, now they came back and kind of played an important role, and people think they look really cool.
And he also complimented Exile's Reach, which I thought was interesting too. He says, kudos, I worked for years on a good new player experience, never landed it, I'll have to try Horde version. So that's a huge compliment, which is nice to hear from, a veteran.
It also shows how game development works, because Ghostcrawler left Blizzard in 2013, and Exile's Reach is... So it seems like that's something he wanted to do, revamp new player experience, and it's only coming to light 7 years later. So, it shows how maybe something is like the wrong time to do a revamp, or the resources don't line up. And, we never knew he was working on this. Everyone just assumed, oh, Ghostcrawler is, nerfing Red Paladins. But this is just another
Yeah.
example of some things that can go on behind the scenes that we don't know about because, Blizzard is not going to share something that, was scrapped.
Yeah, I mean, imagine if 7 years ago Blizzard's like, hey, so we have this new leveling experience in the works. Imagine the amount of people who would keep asking for it, keep asking for it, keep asking for it. And then they'd be pressured to bring it sooner, and it would just be a mess. But when it's a secret and it's just like, there you go, it's a much nicer feeling. And I think that's also why it's very important for companies to keep a lot of their ideas secret, whether they do end up using them or not, just to protect themselves from that kind of thing.
I had to laugh when he was saying Borealis is pretty little complicated to navigate. And everyone in the comments was
he hasn't tried Horde.
It's 10 times worse.
I read those tweets on the Wowhead site, so I couldn't see the replies to it, but I was thinking to myself, I was like, oh my god. He has not played Horde yet. You have a flight master in between the own city. It's I don't know. I still get so frustrated when I play my Horde characters. It's like I'm doing one thing, so I'm on like this side of the map, and then I need to do this other thing, like I don't know, open my alliance, open my PvP chest. So I have to fly all the way to this other place, and then I want to open my Mythic Plus chest, and I have to fly all the way to this other place, and everything is just so far.
Another thing I thought was interesting was he was commenting that maybe he'd want to lock a character at level 49. And he was commenting that the UI seemed kind of lacking for this, and he was speculating that it was hotfixed in, aka it was added pretty late to the process. And I thought that was interesting because he was totally right. The ability to experience lock your characters was added really late and kind of rushed in the process. So I think it's interesting how someone that used to be on the team can sense if something was added in a rushed way, all those years later. So, but yeah, I think it's also a good point. If you want to lock experience and you're not a twink, you're just someone that wants to, play the story, you're not looking to destroy people in battlegrounds, it would be nice to have a UI option, like a screen pop up, like, oh, you're level 49, do you want to XP lock, as opposed to having to go back to, a battle master in a capital city that maybe you haven't used before.
That's true.
So, yeah.
Those NPCs can be quite difficult to find.
Yeah, so I think he has a good point that it could be more, it could have a better UI for people that just, aren't doing PvP twinking, but are now curious to lock experience and play through more of the story campaign. So... but yeah, I think he has really interesting thoughts as someone that helped shape a lot of the game, and people really liked his thoughts back in the day. So it seemed to be a good fit to highlight on Wowhead.
It's interesting to read it. It's like these threads. I'm not sure if you've ever sort of been reading them, but when you follow somebody who watches something for the first time, it could be something which is widely known, widely watched, but this one person hasn't watched it. Maybe Game of Thrones, for example, and they're watching everything from the first episode, and they comment after each episode, and you go back and you read their tweets, and it's so funny because it brings you memories back as well, and it gives a perspective that you might have not thought about. And it's always interesting, I think, to read those kind of Twitter threads, and that's what he did now with his experience coming back to WoW.
Yeah. So, one more thing, and then we can read subs and then a break. I had to laugh because everyone makes jokes that, Ghostcrawler is buffing and nerfing DPS, and what does he play? And he reveals that when he was talking about healing versus DPS on his priest, that he usually prefers and feels more comfortable with the tanking and healing roles 90% of the time, not DPSing. So...
and I think he also commented about mage, didn't he? Contrary to popular belief, my mage is not even max level or something.
Yeah. Everyone's oh, he must play a frost mage. That's why they do so well.
Yeah.
And he was like, no, he's I don't even like shadow. I just healing on my priests instead. So, why don't we thank the subs, and then we can talk about a very interesting topic, the new shop transmog.
Yeah, everyone's favorite topic. Yeah, we have 2 resubs in this time, so let's quickly shout them out. We got Macken with the 14-month streak. Thank you very much, Macken, for supporting Wowhead. And Tenno as well, coming in with 23 months resub, so almost 2 years. And those are both community names that I recognize, so thank you guys for supporting us here on Wowhead as well. Really appreciate you guys. And on to we had a sub right now in this moment from the Madcap. Thank you for supporting Wowhead. So we have a shop item to talk about. I know this topic makes everyone very happy. We have a transmog, the Sprite Darter. I can show you guys how it looks like as well. This is interesting because we haven't had much transmog on the store at all, and I believe the only other transmogs we have had were the different hats that were available before, or headpieces, which are currently unavailable. So it's interesting to see transmog there again. What could this mean? Is it something that we will see more of? And it's in a very similar fashion to the previous mounts that came out, where if you subscribe to a 6-month subscription, you get the item for free, so to speak. So if you are already planning to play in that time, getting a 6-month subscription will be cheaper than a monthly sub, and you also get the transmog with it. There it is. The Sprite Darter's wings.
So, there has been a lot of speculation that this was maybe a BlizzCon virtual reward that was then sort of dumped onto players because no BlizzCon. We took a look at the data, and we are not sure about this for a few reasons. The first reason is that we have found another encrypted set, and the BlizzCon set last year, the Woolies, was really goofy, and it had very distinctive BlizzCon branding on it, like the zipper said BlizzCon, and this set doesn't really scream BlizzCon to me.
It doesn't.
So
no, you're right.
The speculation is that maybe the other encrypted set was for BlizzCon.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we've had mounts before for the 6-month subscription, but for the pre-patch, we are seeing lots of emphasis on customization. So it would make sense that you could have this really cool, over-the-top cosmetic set, and if you got the set, maybe you would be encouraged, if you're a night elf, to, change your hair to a new vibrant color to match the wings. Or this helm is unique in that your ears pop through, and a lot of races have new ear options or earrings. So I could see how having a cosmetic set could inspire you to play around with the customization in the pre-patch. Plus, in 8.2.5, when they had all the encrypted hidden things for the Sour Fang Fourth War cinematic, they added this set back in 8.2.5, and there was an unused questline called the Dream Grove Murder Mystery that featured Brightwing, the Sprite Darter, not Brightpaw, the cat, involved in this murder mystery, and that has the Sprite Darter wings. So my guess is maybe they were planning on tying it to like you could get it from the shop in some way, but it would trigger a cute quest line, similar to how the Shadowlands Collector's Edition has the quest line to get the transmog. You have to collect the essences, and then you get the vestments. So that would be my guess, and maybe the quest line was too much work and they scrapped it. But adding it in 8.2.5 was like over a year ago, so I think that would be too early for a BlizzCon 2020 reward. Now this other set, which is still encrypted, that was added in 8.3, which was sometime later, so maybe that was a BlizzCon reward.
Okay, so it's an encrypted transmog from 8.3, which we don't know how it looks like, and this one was encrypted since 8.2.
Yeah, so like several months earlier.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it makes sense why they released a transmog set to go along with a big customization update that focused on things like jewelry and like silly, vibrant hair colors. I think it makes sense why they did this. I don't think this was the BlizzCon reward.
Gotcha. Yeah. It would make sense in ways of comparing it to the sort of ridiculousness of having the sort of onesie transmog from last year's BlizzCon. But it is true that it does miss a logo, and if it's been in the encrypted data for so long, then it definitely just does point away from it.
I also think that a lot of the 6-month items hint at the story surrounding it. Like in 8.2, we had that Mechagon mechanical dragon. When BFA came out, we had the like the pirate ship that didn't swim. And
oh yeah.
This feels like a high definition take on Ardenweald, and we've already covered how Blizzard went through a lot of concepts trying to get like the right Ardenweald armor and how they, you know, discarded mail sets. So maybe it made sense to take an Ardenweald concept. It was maybe too goofy for Covenant armor, but you know, it fits the vibe of a 6-month promotional item.
And with it coming out now and expansion being a month or two away, it kind of just guarantees that people will stay around at least for some time. I mean, they could have maybe waited with it to ensure more time in the new expansion, because this way they might have just cut the playtime for like a month or so if people happen to play but don't want to stay and get the 6-month resub. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe that does point towards the expansion coming a little bit sooner than later. I'm not sure. I guess 6 months is a long time, so either way, it'll make people stay.
I also feel like marketing is sort of on a strict schedule, so even if Blizzard's like, oh yeah, we don't know when the expansion is, marketing is like, okay, you know, we were planning to have an October transmog drop based on analytics, so we're dropping, you know, our transmog in October. You know, which again calls into question, was there meant to be BlizzCon around this time? Because it feels that dropping all the virtual ticket rewards on top of a, you know, a 6-month transmog feels like a lot in a small period of time.
That's also true. Like 6-month rewards, Shadowlands release, and BlizzCon. I think this was definitely not planned to all be within a week of each other.
No.
This is what happened after everything was
delayed.
Yeah,
so how do you feel about transmog being on the shop? Like, I do want to stress that Blizzard added 3 helms like years ago, so this isn't brand new. You know, like I said, I mean, it's cosmetic. It doesn't impact your player power. It looks goofy, so you know, you're not getting like Arthas's helm or Sylvanas' bow. And it makes sense with the with the pre-patch. So I'm kind of okay with this. I mean, if Blizzard is going to do 6-month promotions, I don't, you know, have a problem with a set. I also feel like a set is maybe less like obtrusive or, oh my god, I must buy this, than a mount. Like it feels pretty minor. If Blizzard is going to be doing these sorts of, you know, gifts every 6 months.
I feel like it's okay for current players because of the 6-month deal, but outside of that, I think it's pretty bad because it's starting to add up to be so many items on the shop. So let's say a new person starts playing and is a collector like myself, it's very overwhelming, and the shop is growing too fast. And for current players, it's not so bad because a 6-month sub is actually worth it in many ways. It's cheaper than subbing 1 month at a time as well. So if you are regularly playing, might as well have a 6-month sub if you're able to afford that, you know, bulk price in one go. And also get these things on top of it. But I feel like it's happening a bit too often. And sure, the 6-month sub thing makes it less feel less bad, at least for me personally, and probably a lot of other people. But once it starts adding up and you can't, you know, do it retroactively, you can't sub for 6 months and get them all later on, since it's like time limited, then it's a little bit, I think, concerning. I hope that we won't see too much of that. I think having like maybe one per expansion or something, like a cool mount or something, is okay, but I think lately it's been too much stuff. It feels like a new thing every 6 months.
Something which is interesting is to consider how back before there was the black market auction house, whenever the WoW TCG had the card game, before the shop, every release would include cards where you could get mounts and pets, and those sold for extremely high amounts of money. Like you would have to trade cards to get the right cards and scratch and sniff. And I feel like maybe that was before the advent of social media, but you know, if you wanted to collect everything before these items appeared on the black market auction house, the only thing you could do was to try to get your hands on these cards, or hope that the item was BOE and you could find it on the auction house for ridiculous amounts of gold at the time. So in some sense, I feel like as someone that tried to collect a lot of that stuff like back in the day, before the shop was even a thing, I feel like in some sense it's almost cheaper, you know, to like try to, you know, drop 20 here and there, as opposed to like, well, I have to farm up gold or else I'm paying, you know, $400 for, you know, a mount code. So I'm sort of glad. So
you mean as a comparison?
Yeah, like it's I mean, when you were saying that people have to spend money now, I'm just thinking how, like, you know, back in the day you would have to drop hundreds of dollars to get a mount card.
And people still need those, by the way, which now go for thousands.
Yeah,
it's actually crazy because I've been like just looking at the different sales and stuff of those mounts, like Spectral Tiger and similar, and it's they're shooting up in price. They're shooting up.
Because there's it's like the demand is still high, but the supply is dwindling because, you know, there aren't new codes on the market. So in a sense, you know, like, yeah, I'd rather take a $20 mount over, oh, you know, Blizzard has added this mount, but to get the mount, you need to like buy our card game and then hope you get lucky, or, you know, go on eBay. I feel like that was more expensive and also kind of weird in its own way.
Okay. I mean, I understand your point in that, in terms of for a collector's experience. The thing with that was that it could be argued that it's not part of the game. It's like its own game, so you're paying for like the trading card game, so to speak. But yeah, the fact that they stopped creating those did lead to some ridiculous prices as they're becoming more and more rare and more sought after. As more and more people learn about them, it has become ridiculously difficult to get them. At the end of the day, I think I won't be super mad at things being on the shop unless it's something that gives your character power. So having things like cosmetics and mounts and pets is fine to be on the shop. I'm just concerned that maybe it's too many things too often. Yeah. Like that's my main thing.
I'm trying to look up the last time we had a shop mount. Was it the Mechagon? I think it was the Mechagon mount.
Was that the one called Incinerator or something?
Yeah, the Steam Scale Incinerator.
Yeah. I think that was the latest one.
Steam Scale Incinerator on Wowhead. So that was July 9th, 2020.
Yeah.
So that was, I mean, that was kind of you know, that was several months back. I feel like this mount though was delayed because it's very Mechagon and it came out like after 8.3, so it's kind of weird.
Yeah, I feel like that's too soon.
Yeah,
I feel like it's masked.
6 months isn't even up.
Yeah, like I feel like it's masked behind the thing. Like, well, you get it for free if you sub for 6 months. So then it makes it feel more okay for those of us who are playing regularly. But it feels too often, I think. It's like,
Yeah.
why?
Like I would say it makes sense. Wait for the Steam scale to run out and then do another one. If you have to, do it every 6 months. But yeah, this is like every 3 months.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we can highlight some things you can get in the game that you don't need to spend money on.
I want to just comment one more thing before you you switch that. I just realized that someone has been saying in the chat that you can buy it on the store. You don't have to sub for 6 months. The fact that you can sub for 6 months and get it for free is the only thing that makes me feel like it's somewhat okay. The fact that you have to spend $25 every 2-3 months for a new cosmetic because you like collecting things when you're already paying for a subscription to the game, I think is too much. I think it's I think that's too much. So that's why I'm not even mentioning the fact that you can buy it standalone. That's in fact why I think in the future, once those 6 month subs are over, it will feel like a lot for someone who decides like, hey, I actually want to pick up those mounts and cosmetics. Like, let's check last year. Oh, look, it's $100 worth of cosmetics from last year alone that I have to catch up with. So that's why I was putting emphasis on the 6 month sub. That's the part that makes me feel like it's almost okay, but still
I'm not sure
if
Blizzard would ever want to do this, but you can do like a gold to tokens like shuffle to, you can essentially turn your gold into tokens and then like the tokens into money. I think like you can essentially pay for these things using the resources that you have.
Yeah.
But that's more like that's not really apparent in the UI. But maybe if there was like a gold conversion button where you could either pay in money or gold, that would be more interesting.
Really sorry, I can't hear you because my headset just died, but you can keep on talking. Oh, no. Just in case you ask me something, I can't hear you.
No, I was just talking about how like you can do a gold WoW token shuffle to get these items without having to shell out extra money. But maybe that's something Blizzard doesn't want to highlight as much, or a lot of people aren't very good at making gold. But that is just something to keep in mind, that you can bypass spending real money on these things.
Mm-hmm. I think it is a nice option to have the token too for people who do end up playing the game a lot and are able to make gold. Then at least you can put that towards the different things if you're interested in them.
Yeah. Is your headset back to normal?
Yes.
Cool. All right. So yeah, I also wanted to highlight that we've been talking a lot about things that Blizzard wants you to spend money on this show, but we also want to highlight that Hollow's End is here, and it's a fun holiday with a lot of cool things you collect and no cash shop. So Hollow's End started on the 18th. It runs through November 1st. Possibly more relevant this year is that you can get an experience and reputation gain for 2 hours, which is great in the pre-patch with all the Chromie time leveling. So that's pretty cool. And then, of course, there are the obvious things like the Headless Horseman mount, which requires level 45 and above for chips at getting it.
I thought that level requirement was interesting.
Yeah, I guess level 45 would be the equivalent of, I guess, like level 110. So like not BFA, old BFA max level, but starting off, which is always the case. Like you never needed to be max level in BFA to get something, but you had to be close to max level.
It's just good to be reminded, because somebody recently asked me, what level do you have to be? And I was like, probably 110, like the other events. And they're like, wait, you mean 45? And I was like, oh yeah, the squish. Yeah, that's about right. So it's a nice reminder to hear that it's 45 actually.
Yeah, and you can get lots of interesting costumes like the Lich King, which might be relevant with Shadowlands. The Garrison has a lot going on. You can get the Coin of Many Faces. You can get a Pepe Scarecrow costume, who's super cute. There are lots of toys, lots of pets, including the feline familiar, which is a cat on a broom. People are wondering where Brightpaw is. I have my old chair, and he likes to sleep on my old chair now as opposed to just being in my face
Oh,
during the show.
yeah. Like,
Speaking
this
of
is my
cats,
throne now.
yeah.
Yeah.
The Magic Broom is a really cool temporary mount that is an instacast mount, and people also like it because it's very minimalist. Like, you don't have big wings flapping around; it's just a stick. And Blizzard actually added a special like mount animation to it where it does a bunch of loops now, so that's cool.
Oh, cool. I did not notice that.
And yeah, if you do a bunch of achievements, you can get the hallowed title. So yeah, you know, good luck farming stuff. And just remember there's a lot of interesting costumes and collectibles outside of the achievements.
I actually went to the vendor and picked up a couple toys that I had been missing from previously. So if you are a collector, you may want to go back and check on the vendor to make sure you have all the things.
Yeah. And also speaking of collectibles, this is a topic we mentioned on the last show that I think Annie is very happy about. Blizzard stated in their patch notes that rank 4 essences are no longer obtainable, and through research and the help of Wowhead contributors, we have discovered that basically everything is still obtainable in the pre-patch except for the essences Ripple in Space, Vision of Perfection, and Conflict and Strife.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you know, just have fun farming your essences from Paragon chests and all other sources.
I was very upset when I opened my last chest right before pre-patch hit, because I thought that would be my last chance to get a try on the Oldham Paragon reputation chest. But it turns out a lot of people are reporting to be getting their rank 4 essences from these Paragon chests. So it seems like I'm still, you know, potentially going to get it. It's a last.
Are you sure
one
you
that
don't
I'm
have
missing.
it and it's like hidden in your bank somewhere?
I
So you can't loot another one.
I have thought about that. In that moment, I only checked my bag. I never went and checked my bank. I probably should. Maybe I should have someone link it to me, and then my add-on will tell me if it's in my bank. But I doubt it. I don't think I have it. So I have another month of doing dailies. I actually just got enough reputation today, so I'm gonna open it later.
Oh,
I'm
well,
just
good luck, fingers crossed.
saving it for when I'm live, so in case I do get it, it'll be a good moment to keep and cherish.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm trying to get my last essence. That's my story. So I'm happy about these news.
Yeah. So we are on our final discussion topic, but if you have any questions for us, you can let us know. We've skipped over a lot of the technical news because it's not really fun to discuss, being like, you know, this didn't work and now it's fixed, you know, yay, good job, Blizzard.
Yep.
But if you have any questions, you can drop them in the chat and we can get to them soon. But yeah, so for our final topic, very interesting timing on this. Blizzard said they would end development updates for StarCraft 2 very recently on October 15th. And then on October 20th, we learned that many StarCraft 2 and Warcraft 3 veterans have formed a small new game company called Frost Giant Studios that is focused on revitalizing the real-time strategy game. And like all other ex-Blizzard companies, they are located in Irvine, California.
Yep.
And the timing, I think, is very interesting on this. You wonder if, you know, did they want more freedom in developing real-time strategy? Did Blizzard want them to focus on another game and they left to, you know, not give up on the genre? Were they discouraged by how Warcraft 3 Reforged development turned out? Did them leaving create, you know, the did it sort of force Blizzard to stop updating StarCraft 2? You have to wonder about the timing, because to me it doesn't seem coincidental that those two things happened in the same week.
Yeah, I think that's actually really interesting to notice. And it's an interesting topic also after the recent mention of that new game studio.
Yeah, Dreamhaven.
Yes, I was just thinking, what was the name of it?
Yeah. So I also thought, which was interesting, was if you look at the investors, one of the investors in this is Riot Games, and Riot has League of Legends, and they've created a division called Riot Forge, and it is a business branch that is created to partner with smaller studios for more content with the League of Legends IP.
Mm-hmm.
So you have
really
to wonder
to see.
if it's going to be like a Runeterra RTS.
Mm-hmm.
And they also have some venture capital investment firms that invest heavily in VR and games and esports, which are also things that, would interest people, seeing how, StarCraft, sort of led the way on esports. You can imagine that the competition is, a topic that the developers would care about.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just to give some examples, CEO Tim Morton was production lead for StarCraft 2. Tim Campbell was lead campaign designer on Warcraft 3, The Frozen Throne. So a lot of, they were formed by 8 ex-Blizzard developers, all that have expertise in this genre. And they also have stated that they want to stay small, which, again, I mean, obviously Dreamhaven sounds like it wants to be pretty big, but I think there's still the same vibe of we want to stay like independent. And if people think that, RTS is an outdated genre, maybe they just want to stick to their vision and work on a game they think is fun, as opposed to being part of a company that wants to pursue, trendier game genres.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, as usual, we wish them well.
Mm-hmm.
And they
Excited
very early stages, so probably not seeing anything from them very soon.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just interesting to see the timing on this.
Yeah, definitely. And that actually covers the last topic of the night or the day. It's still day for you, right, Perk?
Yeah, it's actually been kind of cloudy, so that's why I'm like, woohoo! I can wear like pants and jackets and not,
oh yeah, because you're used to too warm. Yeah.
Yeah. I have something cool we can show.
Okay.
Pretty soon as an update. Does this image load for you? I know the URL is weird.
Did you put it in the doc?
Yeah, at the very end. The Slack images.
Let's see. Yes, eye colors.
Yeah, so if you want to pull that image up, when we last had the show, we highlighted the new dressing room on Wowhead with the cool new UI, and a lot of it to mimic the in-game offerings. And a lot of people asked us, instead of just having, numbers for like eye color and skin tone, if we could have the little color previews like Blizzard has. And we took your feedback into account. And now when you try out the options in the dressing room, you will see little color samples like that. So you don't need to memorize numbers. You can just pick the color you like.
Cool. Okay. So before that, you just had numbers, basically?
Yeah, because back in BFA, like Blizzard never had these visual indicators.
Yeah,
it was all just like, eye color 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And when we revamped it, we just we made the menus look nicer, but we just kept the numbers. So now if Blizzard has a color tied to something, we will show the color.
Nice, that's awesome. Good job on the coders for that one.
Yeah. So
that's awesome.
That is just one example of how we are trying to respond to feedback and improve, even though it does take several weeks. Even though it sounds a little simple, it does take some time to get this out. I am seeing a very good question. Any word on the expeditionary boots not being obtainable from going through Shadows, the Exile's Reach starting zone? We were curious about this too, and around a week ago, we made an article trying to draw attention to this issue, which was a very popular article, and a lot of people were similarly confused. If you don't know what this issue is, while you can get common quality boots through Exile's Reach, you cannot get uncommon quality ones, which then allow you to, have a matching set, but also open up boots for transmog. And all these boots were data mined, so it almost seems like an oversight. And we've also covered how we data mined lots of like exile reach weapons such as warglaives and shields, which don't show up on the weapon vendor. So maybe some things were like left out as an oversight.
I actually just thought about since people were talking about or someone named it Color Picker Plus.
Yeah.
So I was wondering why Blizzard hasn't, since they added a bunch of different colors, why they didn't just add a circle and just color picker, whatever shade you want. I wonder if it's because they want specific races to just have specific eye colors, or if it's more of a being worried that certain colors might look weird in the texture of things. What do you think?
Well, like, it's also for skin tones. So maybe they don't want someone with, you know, neon green, you know, skin. Or, you know, like
well, like just for the eyes part. Since the eyes kind of have like a bit of crazier
Yeah,
colors.
I mean, I wonder if it's they wanted to have certain lore reasons because it was such a big deal adding blue eyes to the Blood Elves and Void Elves, and also how when they added the golden eyes as, you know, the post Sunwell option, that also was tied into the lore. And like with the Night Elves, it's like there are different reasons.
Discussions. Yep.
Yeah, like if you are more like higher born, like your eyes glow a different color. So you know, maybe I can see someone being like, oh, with this eye color added in, is this confirmed that, like, suppose someone made green Draenei eyes, it's gonna be like, oh, is it canon that, you know, the Legion Fel Draenei have joined the Alliance? And then Blizzard is gonna be like, no, they didn't join.
I wonder if they would add a full-on color picker, if that would cause discussion, because that just means every color is available, whereas when you add a specific one, that could raise the question like, well, that's interesting, Blizzard. Why did you add this specific color and not this one? I wonder if they will ever just turn to that kind of customization, or if they'll stick to having a bit more control over them.
I think it would be cool if they did add a color picker for certain armor. If you could dye your armor different colors, like Diablo.
Oh yeah.
It's like, oh, you know, like wouldn't I mean?
I wish I could dye armor.
Yeah, or like on Mythic, maybe you could. If everyone's like, oh, you know, the Mythic set looks cool, but I hate the color. Maybe on Mythic you could, I don't know, have the option to change the color of your set. Maybe it opens up more customization if you have the best version of it.
Yeah. There's so many,
also,
especially using old
realized,
transmogs. Yeah.
I'm just saying, going back to Sprite Daughter, I just realized that not only do the wingtips change color, but the feathers and your like necktie
they
change
color.
colors.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm just like, wait, it's pink, it's orange. I'm confused.
Yeah, I see.
So yeah, just something. I was with the dressing room open. I had that set open, and I'm just like, wait, it's changing on me.
Yeah, changing right in front of your face. Yeah, I think especially old transmogs, sometimes when you want to create something, put it together, and then you realize they have different shades, not the perfect shade for something, like 2 different shades of green. It would be nice if we could adjust shades of colors at least a little bit.
Something that I thought, I don't know if this could be a BC time walking thing, but in Burning Crusade and Wrath, before there were tons of raid difficulties, Blizzard would add in the data many different armor tints and for tier sets, and there was like always one tint that was only seen on NPCs.
Yeah, like never used. Yeah.
And it would be cool if we could get those unused tints now in some way, because a lot of those sets were considered iconic, and as we saw with Tomb of Sargeras, people really like tier 6, you know, all different colors, you know, even though it's an old set. So, you know, I think bringing back those tints from the vault and putting them on like Burning Crusade, or maybe a special, like I know some expansions are less popular to level in, like Burning Crusade and Wrath. So maybe adding little rewards if you make it to 50 in those expansions, like those transmog sets, would be something cool.
Yeah, no, I actually agree with that. And I think in general, because of the path of reusing, like if you extend this concept and go into mounts as well, I think it could be interesting from a collector point of view. When you're collecting transmogs, instead of showing different transmogs with different names, which look the same but different colors, just have them like under the same thing, and you pick the color that you want specifically, you know, make it more organized and more easy to find different colors of the same transmog. And then you could do the same with mounts. So instead of having 10 mounts across your mount journal with different names, you just have like it showing once as a model, and then you pick the color that you want. I think it could be nice and more organized like that as well. And then what you do is you unlock a version of that one instead of unlocking a whole new mount, since it's a reskin. But yeah.
Oh, also, as of 17 minutes ago, Shadowlands would have been live.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I was gonna say, wait, no, an hour, right? But no, we just changed time, so that's not true anymore. Yep, we would all be just frantically leveling right now.
We would not be doing the show if there was Shadowlands. So.
That's true.
Silver lining.
Yep, you didn't get Shadowlands, but you got this show to cover all the news instead, so yeah. But yeah, I think that's about it from us today.
And that's about it. Let me just see if Bright Paw's nearby, if he wants to say goodbye. Bright Paw, oh, there you are, you little stinker. Come on.
We would all be in a huge queue. Yeah, maybe we wouldn't be in Shadowlands yet because we're all in queues together. So we do this show anyways just to talk to you guys as we're waiting in the queue. No, but jokes aside, I think BFA had a pretty smooth launch, at least for most people. If I remember correctly, there were a few key servers that had issues, but most servers had a very smooth transition into BFA, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Okay, so we got Bright Paw here.
Awesome.
Bright Paw, say hello to the stream. Yeah.
And a high five. Do you think you're ready for it?
I think so. Are you ready, Bright Paw?
Oh.
Yes, you're such a good boy.
Yeah, he's such
Look
a
at you, the light
tiger.
Shining on your wonderful fur. Yes, my little lightsaber.
Yeah. All right, let's go for a high five. Yeah.
Yeah.
I am down here and you go up there. Yeah. Let's
go.
Three.
Three.
Yeah, you go.
2. 3, 2, 1.
I was almost too early there, but yeah, we got it.
Yeah.
And Bright Paw is happy and content.
Yes. Oh, his little paws. He's so cute.
Yeah. As usual, this video will be, or this show will be uploaded onto YouTube in the next couple hours. If you're new to the Twitch channel, you can feel free to follow and catch us whenever we're live. We sometimes on Wowhead's channel, we also have data mining streams. So if you're interested how data mining is done, then you can also follow along with that, especially when there is a lot of new things getting added. Things have slowed down now, obviously, but it's still interesting to know that sometimes you can catch other types of content on this channel as well. And if you have watched the show but missed some parts of it, you can watch the whole show on YouTube.
Yeah.
So that's it. Yep. And that's it from us, guys. Thank you guys so much for supporting, whether you're here in the Twitch channel or on the article on Wowhead. Hello to everyone, and thank you guys for supporting. And Bright Paw says goodbye too.
Yep. Bye.
Bye, everyone. See ya. I just realized I'm the one who has to change scene. There we go. Okay, bye.
Bye.